Welcome to the specially called meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Woodridge for Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. We call the meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. And Administrator Stonich, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mayor.
Call the meeting.
Trustee Abbott.
Present.
Trustee Krusik.
Present.
Trustee Page.
Present.
Trustee Martinez.
Present.
Trustee Blair.
Present.
Trustee Hendricks.
Present.
Madam Mayor.
Present.
A quorum is established.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence and as we dedicate our meeting in memory of all those who have lost their courageous battle against the coronavirus, to their families, their friends, and our neighbors. We send our hearts out to everyone and dedicate today's meeting in their honor. Then, if you would please follow with the Pledge of Allegiance being led by the Village Board.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We will now move to the public comment portion of our agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Cunningham, members of the board. Good evening, or good afternoon, I should say.
I hear you, Al.
We have a couple public comments here. One was received from David Shayatahovich in questioning when the tennis courts will be open and also Cypress Cove. And so Assistant Village Administrator Halleck will be replying directly to that resident. We will make sure that they're get in touch with the Park District, as those are Park District-owned facilities.
Yes, I would like to make a statement that given that we are conducting this meeting by way of teleconference, we are going to ask if there's also any other written or audio public comments.
Yes, Mayor, there is one additional public comment that was received by way of voicemail for tonight's meeting. And it states as follows: I would like to know the information that goes out regarding the stay-at-home order and whether it would please include something to let parents with children know that it's not summer vacation and the kids should not all be playing at each other's houses during this. It's a little nerve-wracking that this is occurring in my neighborhood every single day. So if you could please tell them or direct the public that this isn't the purpose of the stay-at-home order, perhaps they would understand that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Administrator Stonich. We will now provide members of the public an opportunity to email in your comments during this portion of the meeting, and we will pause to see if we receive any additional comments. Okay, checking with staff, we have not received anything, so we'll go ahead and move on. Now we will go ahead and close our public comment portion of the agenda and move on to the mayor's report. And I do have a report this afternoon. As many of you perhaps have heard by now, Governor Pritzker has extended the stay-at-home orders with some new modifications that will take effect on May 1st, including an important requirement for our neighbors and residents to wear a face covering or mask when in a public space where you are not able to maintain a 6-foot distance from others. Among other modifications, the new executive order will also allow curbside pickup for certain non-essential businesses, which the village board and I know will be welcome news to many of our businesses within Woodridge who have had to cease their operations as a result of the quarantine. As for the DuPage County COVID-19 cases, we wanted to share that the DuPage County Health Department reported yesterday that the confirmed cases have increased to 1,861 and that 99 souls have been lost due to the virus. Sadly, around 68% of the COVID-related deaths in DuPage County have been experienced in senior care facilities. That number is especially troubling since the group of 70 years of age and above, both in long-term care facilities and in the community, represents only about 22% of the total confirmed cases in DuPage County. And I'm very saddened to report that one of our seniors in Woodridge, who was a resident of the Cedarhurst Senior Living Facility, passed away last week after testing positive for the virus. For Woodridge generally, there have now been 67 cases in the village that have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. The governor's executive order, known as the stay-at-home order, was instituted in order to bend the curve, to allow hospitals to build greater capacity and to not be overrun by COVID-19 cases, which in need of then ICU beds and ventilators. It is encouraging news to hear, at least as of this week, Illinois as a whole and the hospital region serving DuPage specifically has not been overrun by COVID-19 patients. And the DuPage hospital system remains well below capacity for ICU bed use and ventilator use. Yesterday, the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health stated that we should be concerned about a second wave of COVID-19, and if that second wave hits along with the regular flu season, it may be even more difficult to contain the virus, which is why the governor has included mandatory face coverings in the forthcoming new executive orders that will take effect on May 1st. I implore all Woodridge residents not to wait for the May 1st mandate, but to start now. And please wear a facial covering in accordance with the CDC guidelines. Let's demonstrate our care and concern for one another by wearing a facial covering when in public, so that as a community and as neighbors, we can all do our part to stop the spread of this vicious virus. Thank you. Administrator Stonich, your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor Cunningham, members of the board. Good afternoon. The first item A is a resolution extending the March 17, 2020 emergency proclamation, consistent and to track with the state of Illinois stay-at-home order as issued by Governor Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Administrator Stonich. If I could please have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-43.
So moved, Trustee Page.
Thank you, Trustee Page. And a second, please.
Second, Trustee Hendricks.
Thank you, Trustee Hendricks. Any discussion on this matter, please? Hearing none, if our administrator would call the roll.
Trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Trustee Blair.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Krusek.
Aye.
Trustee Abbott. I'll ask a recall. Trustee Abbott. I'll recall again. Trustee Abbott, I'm not sure if your mute button might be on. No? We have a bad connection.
On that basis, I think that without him actually being able to vote, you got to count it as an abstention.
Okay. Eric, you want to say that for the record?
Was I not loud enough? I apologize. Sorry. Usually my voice is too loud. Being unable to tally Trustee Abbott's vote because of the technical difficulties, until such time if he's able to get back to us, we have to count it as an abstention. The motion should pass, though, based on the other affirmative votes.
Oh, I am able to hear Trustee Abbott very quietly. He just asked a question. Anyone else able to hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we can.
Trustee Abbott, could you please register your vote as for or against the pending item?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Next item is B, a resolution 2020-44. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with ICMA-RC for the establishment of a 401A retirement plan. This resolution authorizes the village administrator to enter into an agreement to establish a 401A profit sharing plan with ICMA-RC, and this would be for the express purpose of the implementation of the village's voluntary separation plan and the incentive payments that would go towards that plan.
Thank you. If I could please ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2020-44.
Trustee Martinez, so moved.
Trustee Blair.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Trustee Martinez, and thank you, Trustee Blair. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, if our administrator would call the roll.
Trustee Abbott.
Aye.
Trustee Krusek.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Blair.
Aye.
Trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, item C is Resolution 2020-45. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with ICMA-RC for the establishment of a retirement health savings plan. Specifically, this resolution would authorize the village administrator to enter into said agreement to establish a retirement health savings plan for the purposes of the village's voluntary separation plan. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could please ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2020-45.
So moved, Trustee Page.
Thank you, Trustee Page. And a second, please.
Second, Trustee Krusek.
Thank you, Trustee Krusek. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, if our administrator would please call the roll.
Trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Trustee Blair.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Krusek.
Aye.
And Trustee Abbott. Motion carries. Next, item D is a presentation and discussion item only. It is to provide an overview to the board of potential concepts and options in relation to financial relief options for small businesses and or residents in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Director Kimberly Porter will have a brief presentation here, as will, and Director Aletto of our Finance Department will also be contributing as well.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. So I'm going to tag team this presentation with Director Aletto, and I'll be brief. Next slide, please. So tonight you see, with respect to economic relief options, small business assistance, and resident relief options. Next slide. Let's go over our small business relief options. Next slide. So option one would be something sort of a rapid recovery loan program for small businesses. There would be loans that are available in amounts up to $25,000 for small businesses with less than 50 employees. According to the International Economic Development Council, small businesses are typically defined as those with less than 50 employees. Applicants must possess a reasonable and responsible individual credit history, commit to use the loan funds for certain business expenses such as rent or mortgage payments and or to continue to pay their staff. And the loans will come with 6 months at 0% interest with no required payments and favorable repayment terms. For example, up to a 2% interest rate at a 3-year repayment term. Next slide. Some eligibility criteria. The applicant must possess a current business license with the village. The principal business owner or owners must have reasonable and responsible personal credit history. The applicant must show how they've been impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak. And a co-signer with reasonable credit and sufficient income to repay the loan can be included as a guarantor to mitigate weaknesses in the loan requests. One of the best practices, as the International Economic Development Council has advised staff, is that many communities across the country are requiring that there be a co-signer with the various municipal loan programs that are currently being offered. Without a co-signer, you can just assume you'll never see those dollars again. Next slide, please. Option two, with respect to our small business relief options, would be an emergency relief grant program. This will provide grant assistance to small businesses, again with less than 50 employees that have been hard hit by the coronavirus. Those grants amounts would be at a maximum of $7,500 as currently proposed. And they also could be provided to predetermined industries such as only restaurants and bars. Next slide. Some eligibility criteria for this relief grant program. Again, the applicant must be a current business license holder within the village. The applicant must provide information on the impacts to their business, such as business closures, reduced hours of operation, employee layoffs, revenue decline, an interruption in their supply and delivery of stock, and or decreased patronage of customers. Grant recipients will receive payment on a reimbursement basis, which will be limited to payroll, accounts payable, and other non-capital expenses. And this grant program will be provided on a first come, first served basis. Next slide. And a third option with respect to our small business relief would be a sales tax rebate program. A home rule sales tax rebate program would distribute immediate cash for short-term financial needs of our local businesses with the intent of preventing local business closure. The total program allocation could be $350,000 with a budget impact to our general fund reserves. Parameters of the program will define total dollar amount though. An example program could exclude business chains such as Walgreens and McDonald's. And what's also important to note is that sales tax generation is not applicable to all businesses. Service businesses will be excluded from this program. Next slide. Now I'm going to turn it over to Director Aletto. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and trustees. I'd like to speak briefly on the impact of any relief programs on the general fund balance. Now, staff will be coming to the board on May 7th to provide information on the budget impact that we're seeing from COVID-19. And staff has provided the board with information in advance of that meeting last week. But for the purposes of today's discussion, as we see it right now, the general fund is expecting a deficit of about $6.5 million. Now, this number doesn't include any incentive programs for any of the businesses or residents that are being presented today. Now, based on the $6.5 million deficit, our fund balance at the end of 2020 would be about $14.4 million. Now, we had originally planned for a fund balance of $20.9 million. Now, if you look at the fund balance in totality, that whole $14.4 million as a percentage of next year's operating expenditures, we'd see we'd have a 61% fund balance, or about 7.3 months worth of operating dollars. If we look specifically at our unassigned fund balance, which is what our fund balance policy uses, those are dollars that are not restricted for use at this time. Our fund balance drops to about 38%. Now, these are current projections. As you know, this is a rapidly evolving issue, and we're working through it day by day. We continue to monitor the situation, and of course, we will amend the projections as more information becomes available. But this is what we have, we're looking at right now. For purposes of these relief programs, for every $250,000 in incentive that would be offered, there would be a corresponding decline of about 1% in fund balance. Next slide, please. So let's turn our attention to some resident-based relief programs. Next slide, please. So here's two ways that the board may look to provide relief to our residents. And the first could be in the form of a rebate to each household within the village. Now, the U.S. Census count for the number of households in 2018 in the village was about 13,104 households. That number is likely higher than that due to new construction, but we'll just use this number right now for our illustration. In the village, if we were to provide, say, a $100 rebate to all of those households, obviously the cost to the village would be about $1.31 million. That doesn't include postage or check printing costs or any administrative fees. But there are some challenges to using this type of a rebate program. So first of all, unfortunately, there's no database that we could just obtain the household information from. And so staff would have to use a variety of methods to obtain this information, such as our water billing customer list, or we'd also have to work with the multifamily housing developments to get names of those that are in their units. Also, we could expect to have some concerns from residents as to whose name appears on the check. So depending on the information that we're giving, we're printing checks with names on there. Some people may not be happy with that. Also, any uncashed checks would require us to attempt to find the payee. Depending on how many of those would be uncashed, that could be staff burdensome. And then ultimately, if we were unsuccessful in finding those, we'd have to turn the funds over to the state after 7 years. Now, this particular program here would be funded through the general fund. And so as I just spoke of earlier, it would increase the deficit that we have projected at this time. Another rebate that the board could consider would be something like a rebate on a water account. And under this one here, in this scenario, we are looking at both residents and businesses here. But in this example, the board could choose not to charge the fixed water maintenance fee. And that's based on, it's a fee charged every billing cycle, which is every 2 months. It's based on the size of the meter. So if the board removed this charge for both residents and businesses, the cost for each billing cycle that they chose to do this for, it'd be about $296,000. And in order to give you some sense of what kind of rebate we would be talking about to residents and businesses, the majority of our residents have a 3/4 inch meter. And so if you were to not charge this fee for one billing cycle, they would save $27.46 on their next water bill. A business with a 1.5 inch meter would save $91.50. Now, as with any of these programs, there are a number of challenges that you should be aware of. And here, I just want to highlight a couple of them. So one of the challenges with this type of a rebate program is not every household or business has their own meter. So in those instances where we have multifamily housing units or strip malls where there's only one meter that services multiple units, we'd have to have an agreement with the housing complex or the building owners that they would then distribute the rebate onto their tenants. And then also, depending on the number of tenants that are served by that meter, the amount that actually would be available or rebated back to those tenants would be minimal in cases, some of them as low as $3. We also have about 122 homes within the village that are not serviced by the village. They're serviced by Illinois American Water. And so they would not receive this rebate through our billing system. And then also this type of a program would be funded through our water and sewer fund and not the general fund. And so in essence, rebates here would negate any dollars that the village would receive from the new fixed capital fee that the board just put in place this year. We put that in place to begin funding for needed water main replacements. And so if we were to provide any rebates here, that would reduce dollars available for capital expenditures. Next
Director
slide.
Leto, this is Administrator Stonich. Quick question. We would exclude unincorporated residents as part of any proposed ordinance, correct?
That would be correct. And at this time, that concludes our presentation. We'd be open for any questions or feedback.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both to Director Porter and Director Leto. Going to ask the board if we have any board members that have any feedback or questions, comments.
Trustee Martinez here.
Yes, please, Trustee Martinez.
Is there a process or a way that any of these are approved that businesses or residents can pursue this benefit, and how long would it take?
Trustee Martinez, this is
Director
Director Porter speaking. I'm sorry. That will, well, once and if the board decides that either the small business or the resident programs are those that they would like to see implementation, the next phase will be working through the administrator to create those additional criteria, application forms, that sort of thing. That information will be vetted to the mayor and the board through the administrator prior to release, prior to these options or programs being made live, so to speak.
My question is, since it appears that there are many small businesses in the community that are now hurting, why don't we approve this, or should the staff start working on a process so if things are approved, we can proceed right away and minimize the time it takes to get it complete?
Sure, Trustee Martinez, this is Administrator Stonich. Correct. So from staff's perspective, if there was positive or affirmative direction from the board to tailor a specific program, we would begin work on that, on the criteria, the application process, et cetera, and get that information to the board as quickly as possible, and possibly, at least the intent would to bring forward to you a formal proposal then at the May 7th meeting for formal consideration.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else, please?
Mayor, Trustee Blair,
Yes, please, Trustee Blair.
I would certainly like to see what staff could come up with to help our small businesses. As far as the $100 rebate to households and the $27.46, I cannot support either one of those. I just really don't see much benefit to those at all. And I as far as the residents are concerned, I think it's going to have too many complications and with very little benefit. So I would not be supportive of either one of those, but would certainly entertain a program that maybe we can help our businesses out with some sort of loan or grant or whatever the board comes up with, or the staff comes up with.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else, please?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, please, Trustee Krusek.
Trustee Krusek, correct. Yeah, I agree with Trustee Blair on the residential portion of this in particular, because I don't think that when you look at the total impact to the village budget, it's really not giving much back to the residents in the way of relief. I mean, even if we did both of them, you're looking at $127. And then we have all the additional issues of making sure we get it to the right places. There's just too many things that I see there that I don't know that it's worth trying to get into that. We'll have all kinds of unintended consequences. And as far as the business relief goes, I would love to be able to do more for our businesses, but there again, it seems like we have issues in who are we going to pick to get the money, first come, first serve. Are we going to do loans, which I don't know that I want to be in the business of lending money to businesses. I realized we would go through a bank most likely to get that done, where we would not actually be the administrator necessarily. And as far as grants, I would feel much more comfortable giving smaller grants to places, but I'd really like to see what we're going to be expecting from the state as far as any funds that we may be getting through the CARES Act to help fight the COVID virus as far as it goes within Woodridge here, before I could even really say that I can commit to something when we're looking at such a sharp decline in the revenues that we're expecting. So at this point, I don't know that I'm really ready to do much of anything. And I know that might be something that we don't know for a while, what we might be expecting from the state. I just see too many things that can go wrong without seeing a huge payback here.
Thank you very much, Trustee Krusek. Any other board members, please?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Trustee Abbott?
Trustee Abbott. Yeah, I'm not in favor of any of these as much as I'd like to help our residents and our business owners. The actions of the governor and the effect they're having on our budget this year, next year, and probably for years to come by locking down so many of our businesses in such a draconian way.
Trustee Abbott, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you.
We can hear that you're speaking, but I don't think anyone, at least on the dais, can hear what you're saying. Is there any way you could increase the volume on whatever device you're using to talk?
I can try. Let's see. Requiring me to have some technical abilities I don't have. Can you hear me now?
We could hear you a little bit. Can you try again, please, Trustee Abbott?
Get into my other screen and I'd have to disconnect this.
That's better.
Okay, that is
We can
better.
hear you now.
Yes.
Maybe. Trustee Abbott, we're having difficulty hearing you. I might suggest, this is Administrator Stonich, I might suggest if you call into the line directly that was in the Outlook appointment, that phone number on there, that might be a better way at it. Or the alternative, you could call me on my cell phone and I can put the, no, we're not going to do that. I'm being told technically that'll be even harder. So just call the Zoom phone number directly.
Do you want to see if someone else wants to speak while we're waiting for?
Sure. Is there anyone else that would like to share any feedback while we wait for Trustee Abbott, please?
Madam Mayor, this is Trustee Hendricks.
Yes, Trustee Hendricks, please.
I think I also would, while the situation that we have is just so unique and so on such a large scale, from my perspective, I don't think a municipality is capable of providing the relief that we'd like to give to both our businesses and our residents. I believe currently the federal government is providing relief in different ways, and I think they have the resources that are available to provide that relief. I believe that for a municipality, there may be small opportunities that we can give in unique circumstances, but in a circumstances such as this, the COVID-19 crisis, I believe that it's such on a large scale that we just don't have the resources to provide any relief. And so that's my opinion on the matter.
Thank you very much, Trustee Hendricks. Trustee Abbott?
There we go.
Yes, and
Yes.
thank you.
No, we can't.
Now we can.
Now, yes, I'm so sorry, Trustee Abbott. We are no longer able to hear you. Going to ask, would any other board members like to please, while we try to get Trustee Abbott on the line?
Madam Mayor, this is Trustee Page.
Yes, please, Trustee Page.
I'd like to thank the staff for their efforts in both business and residential relief. Understanding that looking at the relief on the water side or the rebates to residents, when you look at administrative costs versus what the residents would actually receive, it kind of is a break even. But I would like to explore other potential ways to help our residents and neighbors in need, whether it be sponsoring an additional food pantry. Do we work with other partners like the People's Resource Center or our West Suburban Community Pantry to help individuals, whether it be apply for unemployment or seek other assistance through both the state and federal government? But I think there is a way as a municipality we can have an effect and assist some of our residents that are in need that might be both more time and cost positive.
Thank you so much, Trustee Page. Appreciate that.
Mike Martinez to clarify, yes or no?
Trustee Martinez?
Yes,
Hi, yes. Would you please clarify if you've, what you shared earlier?
well, I'm not in favor of the proposed residential credits because it would be very hard to manage and to provide the benefit that I guess it deserves. From a business standpoint, I'm still believe that if we can provide grants to some of our smaller businesses in the community with a limit as to the total amount of money that we're going to spend, it's still beneficial. So I will support some type of a program that will support small businesses for a period of time at a reduced interest rate or no interest rate.
Okay, thank you so much. Going to try Trustee Abbott again if we can. Oh, no. Okay.
I'll read that at the end. Yeah.
Yes, dialing.
I'm still trying.
Okay, thank you so much, Trustee Abbott. My apologies. I'd like to go ahead and share while we're waiting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
I'm on the phone now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my thoughts are, I would echo what Trustee Hendricks said. I mean, the depths of the problems that our businesses are being forced to suffer as a result of the actions down in Springfield. I don't see where we have any resources whatsoever to make a dent in the problems. So as much as I'd like to help people, I don't see where we could really make any kind of a difference. Also, we're looking at our potential lost revenue to be, what, $6.5 million hit to the general fund. Our revenue next year will be down because of this and maybe for years to come. So I don't see how we can, we have the resources to spend now for money we may not get back when we're going to have a dire, in my view, a dire financial situation for the next several years.
Thank you very much, Trustee Abbott. Appreciate that. Anyone else? I think we have heard from each board member. Again, on behalf of the village board, we do thank our staff for putting together all of the information and options for us. You know, as a community, we know that this is a critical time, and I do thank the board members for all of the input. It's just something that we wanted to give feedback to our staff. So if you take time and review the presentation and would like to further provide comment or feedback or questions that you may have, please do so. I would invite that. I do want to let everyone know that we will be hosting, in partnership with the Northern Illinois Food Bank, a second drive-up mobile food truck in Woodridge. The information is just being finalized, but we know it is looking to be the week of May 11th in the morning this time, but we're securing a location. We wanted to move it to a different area in Woodridge, and we're hoping that we can secure and confirm very soon the location, but it should be somewhere in the Seven Bridges area. And again, it would be in the morning hours. So I did want to share that information. We are working to confirm everything with Northern Illinois Food Bank, and we'll hope to have that out to everyone very shortly. Again, thank you, everyone. Anything else, Administrator Stonich?
No, Mayor Cunningham.
Okay, thank you so much. With no further business to discuss this afternoon.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt. Administrator Stonich, did you cover items E and F on your report?
Well, thank you. That's absolutely right. My apologies. We do have some additional items on here that are normally under the omnibus agenda, but they are under my report. So they are the previous board minutes for February 20th is item E.
You could read them both and then accept an omnibus motion to approve and accept E and F.
Okay.
Thank you, Attorney Pat. So it would be item E is for previous board minutes for February 20th, 2020, and item F is our previous board minutes, April 16th, 2020.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask, please, for a motion to approve item E, board minutes, and then item F, also board minutes. Could I please have a motion to approve items E and F?
Trustee Krusek, so moved.
Thank you, Trustee Krusek. And a second, please.
Second, Trustee Page.
Thank you, Trustee Page. Any discussion on this item or these items? Hearing none, can I just please ask that everyone in favor, please sign aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone. And now, with no further business to discuss this afternoon, I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to adjourn the regular meeting of the specially called meeting of the Village Board for the Village of Woodridge. A motion, please.
Wasn't there the one other?
Trustee Blair, so moved.
Thank you, Trustee Blair. And a second, please.
Oops.
Thank you, Trustee Martinez. All those in favor, please sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. We thank you, Village Board, and all of our residents in Woodridge. Please take good care, stay strong, stay connected, and please stay home. Thank you.